Hello everyone, Ben here and welcome to Hell. Yes, the green hell. We're here for this week's feature race at the Nordschleife for a multi-class race of epic proportions. We're in Class B in the Audi RS VLN with Class A consisting of a range of GT3 machines. Now, I feel I need to get this in early. I have never raced the Nordschleife before the race session you're about to see. I hadn't lapped here much at all prior to this week, so this was very much a learning experience and a big challenge. We start in 4th place in a small Class B field, but as you'll see, the two classes are racing together for a lot of the session and there is action from start to finish. Before we get into the race, do subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the races we've got coming up. And I also wanted to invite you to join myself, Chris Rogers and Sven from Zero to Hero on Discord in a new community channel we've just set up. It's a space to discuss sim racing, find out more about what we as creators are up to, and hopefully organise some community races in the future. There's a link in the description and I hope to see you there in the future. Right, let's go to the grid. Right then, here we are on the grid, waiting for the 5 lights to get underway here at the Nordschleife, and we get a decent start. At first I thought I was going to bog down, but actually we've managed to jump both of the cars ahead of us and we are up into the lead of Class B. You can see the GT3 pack there streaking away from us, but we will come back together with them as we get into the braking zone of T1 here, and the pack bunches right back up. We're going to have to be very careful here that we don't get collected in any accidents that might happen through these opening turns within the GT3 field. You can see that somebody is round and we just managed to come to the right hand side of them. There's more action there to the outside of the corner. We're going to hug to the apex and try and avoid that and not get collected in anybody else's accident. We come round the right hander now and it looks like we've just about got through 5 GT3 cars there. Not so fortunate. So we're now coming through the right hander here as we sort of cut the traditional Nürburgring GP circuit in half and enter into the final section of the GP lap before getting onto the Nordschleife proper. We're through the right hander here and there's another couple of cars just up ahead running wide and the one directly in front of us as well, so we're going to make up another couple of spots on the GT3 pack. As do a couple of the other Audis behind us, managing to pick their way through. We're through the very fast chicane here. Again, just looking for any other mistakes up ahead of us, and we've got another car running wide as well. And I can just see a cloud of smoke here as we're coming now onto the Nordschleife track, and there's a big pile-up which we're just able to skirt around. Other cars not so fortunate. So wow, we are now up into around 13th, I think, on track. We've managed to jump a huge number of the GT3 cars through a really chaotic opening to this race, but we are now onto the Nordschleife proper. Bumpy, undulating track, twisting and turning through this first sector. Just trying to hook a good set of lines up and calm down a little bit, to be honest, and hopefully not make any big errors in the first part of this lap. I mentioned on the introduction, this is my first time racing at the Nordschleife. I've not done many laps around this circuit at all. I've done enough to be able to sort of trust that I won't cause any big accidents in taking on this race, but beyond that, this is still very much a learning experience as we're into the fast right hander now, and I can see in my rear view mirror that Finney, the first of the GT3 cars that got caught in those first lap incidents, is now catching up with us, and he's going to look for a way through. He's got way more straight line speed than we do, but he thinks better of going down our inside through this fast left-hander, and I'm grateful for that because I wasn't quite sure whether we both make it through. We've got another GT3 car off at the hairpin here, the right-hand hairpin, so we're just going to hook to the inside, and we're really just waiting now for Finney to kind of make his move past us as we come downhill through the lefts and rights. This is full speed pretty much. I'm really trying to find a way for him to get past us because I don't want to hold him up. We've got a left-hander here and I try and come off the accelerator a little bit early, but actually we run in deep as I've just got half an eye on my rear view mirror as well as the track up ahead. We've now got a very difficult technical section here as we've got to get the car slowed down, get it turned in and around and away, and we just about get through there okay. But I am now really quite keen that we let Finney through because I don't want to get involved in any unnecessary action. My focus should be on the other Audi cars, and we know we've got this GT3 pack behind us that are going to be quicker than us, so we've got to find just ways of letting them safely through if they've got the pace and the consistency to get past us. So we're now down into the dipping right-hander. We do have a car trying to get past us around the outside here. I am going to just try and let him go, and we do just about let him pass, but we do have another AMG behind us. He's not going to get past us through this corner. There's just no room for us both to get through without me getting completely out of the power, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to lose any positions within our class here as we get heavy on the brakes. Tight left-hander around into the right-hander. He will have better exit speed than us here, so I am expecting that he's going to get past us on the outside. I'm not going to put up any sort of a fight, but I do want to try and keep as much pace as I can through this left-hander over the bridge, and now we're going to come up into an uphill right-hander where you want to get down into third gear and then back quickly into fourth gear and power out of that corner as quickly as you can. Still more GT3 cars coming through. I can't describe to you just how intense this was at the time. Trying to get the braking right here, down into fourth gear, then into third, and then around and out of the corner and into a very high speed section of the track now, where you're basically flat out for a good 60, 70, 80 seconds as the track sort of snakes around to the left. We are though coming under pressure from behind from another GT3 car, but is he going to have enough speed to get past us? You know, we had a decent exit from that corner, and you've got to be pretty brave to go side by side through some of these corners here. And being in the Audi, actually we have to come off the gas slightly less than some of the cars behind us who are running with that much more power. So it doesn't look like he's going to be able to make the move through this section of corners. We are of course coming into now a slower section as we come to the end of that very, very fast section. We've got to get down into third or possibly second gear through this right-hander, as we're now going to come out of that corner side by side. We're going to come into the carousel. Not really a chance to pass here, so he thinks better of it, but we do get a little tap from behind as he's running quicker into that corner than we are. It punches us out of the carousel. We just about hold it through the ramped section there. He's lost a place, so we're now going to get past on our left hand side. Very happy to let the GT3 cars go, to be honest. It's not a race I really want to have, and it's causing me significant levels of stress in the cockpit, having to think about that faster moving traffic as well as just keep the car on the track as we come through into the third section of the lap. You can see behind there the next closest running Audi is in the same livery as us, in the lime green, so we don't have a huge gap back to second place, but we have a single GT3 car in between him and myself as we come now into the left-hander, knocking it down into third gear, just trying to kind of keep the pace of the car through these corners. It's all about letting these Audis roll through the corner. They are front-wheel drive cars, but they don't really drive like a touring car. It's slightly different. It's quite hard to describe. It seems to be all about just getting the line right and rolling the car through with as much speed as you dare. And that is the right word, particularly when you don't know this track from laps and laps and laps, which I don't. Be brave there coming over the crest. Try and carry as much speed and just stay in fourth place as you come through that right hand of the double apex, and then you're back on the gas, down the hill, up into fifth gear. Try and hold it in fifth through the right-hander here, and then you'll find that as you come into this next section of corners, the pack behind is really catching us there. So I think we were a little bit tentative, if I'm honest, coming through this section, and now we've got to get the car slowed down into third gear, into the left-hander, run as wide as you dare to open up the second banked corner of the lap. We're coming now through really into the final section of the lap, and we've now got a couple of right-handers here where we're going to try and get the best exit speed we can into another very, very long flat out straight. This is where the power of the GT3s will really tell. So I'm now anticipating as we come around into the final section of this first lap, there'll be 2 racing laps here. That's how many laps you'll get done in 15 minutes. We're going to get past all sides here from the GT3 pack. This is where they will finally come through and be able to safely overtake. You can still see there the couple of Audis behind us. The lime green car is now in third place. I'm just trying to not deviate from my line too much and let these 3 GT3 cars through as safely as possible. So we're now, the 2 cars behind us are both Class B runners. There's then 3 more GT3 cars behind them as we come now into the final corners of the lap. And again, I'm just coming onto the brakes slightly earlier than I might do because I'm just trying to anticipate that there might be some contact up ahead between the GT3 pack as well, and I don't want to get caught up in that. So we're coming now back into the stadium section of the Nürburgring GP track, and that is a lap of the Nordschleife. Unbelievably intense. But we're in a really great position coming to the end of this first lap. We're in first place in our class. I haven't made too many mistakes. I'm sure I've made a number of small mistakes, and those of you who know the track better than I do will be thinking, why is he coming off the accelerator at that point? He's turning in too early. But believe me, for me and my level of capability on the track, that was not a bad lap for us. Yellow flags out as we come around the left-hander, and there's a car round, and we get tagged. I just couldn't get out of it in time, and that has left us with some suspension damage. The car doesn't feel too bad, and the steering wheel isn't too jarred to one side, but it does make a little bit of a difference. The feel of the car wasn't quite the same from this point onwards. We got lucky not to hit him straight head on, and it was a slight glancing blow. Otherwise the damage would have been much more significant. We've got a slight lock up from the cars ahead, and actually somebody's been off the track there and is rejoining. So these GT3 cars seem to find the stadium section of the track much harder than the actual Nordschleife itself, which is quite strange really. A number of mistakes through the field in this GP section of the lap. He's not got that line through the chicane there right at all either, so we're going to make up further ground on him as we take the left-hander back out onto the Nordschleife for the final time in this race. So we remain at the head of Class B, and I'm hoping now that the majority of the GT3 cars are gone beyond us. We do have another 3 to come through, and they are now closing in on us, but we'll have to see what happens from that. But there's going to be a really tight race now for the lead of the Class B cars, as the car directly behind us now is our competitor on track. He is running in second place, so we've got to be really alive now. This is not about letting backmarkers through anymore. This is about racing on track, and it adds a whole nother level of pressure. Much more so than perhaps I'd anticipated actually before the race, where you're thinking about racing on a track which you know tentatively at best. There's another of the GT3 cars coming past though, so he's got his mind occupied with that. There's a slight bit of contact there, I think, and as he's coming up behind us now, this GT3 car, he disappears, and I think he was disqualified. I think he went above his incident point total there in making a slight bit of contact with the other Audi behind us. So that let us off the hook a little bit. It meant we didn't have to get out of the braking zone 20 corners or anything like that to let him past. It gives us a clean run now into the right hand hairpin, as we are now just trying to settle into this second lap, spot as many of our braking points as we can, get decent lines through these corners as we're into another high speed downhill section there. It's so exciting to race this track. You feel like you're on the edge the whole time as we come into the uphill braking zone. Get that much better than we did lap 1 actually. Get the car just about slowed down. We should have got on the brakes a little bit earlier there. We're a bit scruffy to get the car slowed down. There's another car off behind us. I think that was another of the GT3s. And so the 3 cars you could see there are now the top 3 running in this Class B, and we are covered by no more than a second and a half now after a good lap and a third of the Nordschleife. That's how close we are. You could put a blanket over us really as we come down into the left-hander, get down into third gear, get the car rotated, but we get a little bit of curb, and that's sent us slightly wide there, and the car behind us is right on our rear bumper now, so we're coming under quite significant pressure as we come downhill. We're going to try and get slowed down with the left-hander. We get a slight tap from behind as he runs quicker than we do through that corner. The 3 of us now bombing downhill. I'm trying to keep control of the car as it wants to step out on me there. I get a lot of understeer into that corner. We're practically side by side now as we come into the slow, tight left-hander. We get a decent exit from that corner, and that has given us just a tiny bit of breathing space, but you can see how close the race is now for first place as we're going to come down into the braking zone, over the bridge, nice and tidy through here. Pretty happy with our line there, uphill into the right-hander, and I'm now got my eyes as much in my rear view mirror as I do on the track ahead as we're picking back up the speed now through this left-hander, and unfortunately because of that I get this part of the track all wrong. I think I'm into the high speed section, but I'm not, and I take a huge hit into the wall. The car behind me actually followed me into that mistake. And it was simply a case of losing concentration, forgetting that before we go into the high speed section here, there was a final right hand corner that you have to get down into third gear, fourth gear perhaps, but under heavy braking. And instead I just missed the braking point completely and slammed it into the wall, and we've got big damage now. We are still running at least, and I was able to regain my composure and get moving down the track. But you can see in the bottom left hand corner of the screen we've got significant engine damage, so we're running slow. The transmission is not good. Somehow the aerodynamics seem to be okay despite the big dint in our bonnet that you can see, and the suspension is now pretty knackered. So the car is a big handful here and we are running slow. You can see second and third place behind us now. They're going to close in significantly as we head into the carousel for the final time. This is really tough to keep the car in here because it's just squirming around on us. We've got really compromised pace here, and I'm wondering, can I really keep these guys behind me without being dangerous? I do not want to cause further accidents, but I've got my hands full just keeping the car on the track. We've got one of the guys now alongside us challenging for first place. He nudges us out, but that's fair enough, and we've now got this third place is going to pass us as well, so we're down into third place. And I'll be honest with you, I'm heartbroken at this point. I didn't see that mistake coming. I thought we were in a reasonable place, but I was just dealing with so much information, looking at where the guy behind me was, that I got complacent. I lost my concentration, and we've thrown away what could have been a class win at my first time out at the Nordschleife, and I'm now in a position where I don't even know if I'll be able to get the car home. Giving me a little bit of encouragement is the fact that the car up in the lead there has just run wide, and he's given away the lead of the race. So these guys are going to be fighting for position as we just keep it out of the gravel there, trying to get the car turned in. You can see our steering wheel does not point straight anymore. So despite the fact that it's going to be a handful just getting the car home, we might just pick up some pieces if there's any accidents up ahead. We've got a reasonable gap to a GT3 car behind us, and the rest of the Audi pack is a good chunk of time behind us. So we're in third. This is probably as good as it's going to get, but there might be more to come. I just have to focus on keeping the car on track and trying to maintain a decent distance. And as we now flip forward, because that is ultimately all we were able to do, as the cars ahead slowly but surely got away from us, and then on the final straight we really powered away from us. We come home in third in Class B. It's a decent result. It was a hugely intense and enjoyable race and experience to be out on the Nordschleife for the first time in a competitive online race. But I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty gutted coming away from it, and I feel at least a little bit embarrassed that I just got that corner completely wrong and smashed it into the wall. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the race. If you have, smash that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.